What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet podcast, a place where we can learn about our favorite team. I can talk to you a little bit about some of my experiences as a world traveling diehard Jets fan, and then finally, hopefully, make a little community out of all of this. I'm your host, Kevin Rooney, and I have been peppering y'all with a lot of really long episodes lately. So I figured I'd just do a really quick one here on Sunday night just to talk a little bit about the state of the team. There hasn't been a lot of new news that has come out lately. We've kind of hit the point where we had the first wave of free agency. There's that second wave where it's kind of smaller deals for more bottom of the roster players. And now we're in that boat of, we're kind of keeping quiet. The veterans out there don't want to join any of the offseason workouts, so they're not going to sign yet. So we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen here as we transition into the draft period, because we really only have about 30 days till the draft out in Green Bay. So very excited for all of that. But yeah, let's get started. We'll talk a little bit about where we're at. But before we do so, I do want to start off. I'll do a little trivia question tonight because I haven't done one in a little bit. So my question is, who has scored more touchdowns than anyone in New York Jets history as a Jet? So it has to be as a Jet. So who has scored more touchdowns than anyone else in New York Jets history? I will answer that question at the end. But let's get started here. So, like I said, the wave of free agency is kind of over. I've been a little disappointed at where we're at because I feel like a lot of our holes aren't filled. The ones that we have solved is quarterback. So I don't think we are desperate for quarterback going into this draft. I do expect us to take one eventually. Maybe that's in the third round, maybe it's in the fourth round and beyond. But I don't expect us to be trading up for Cam Ward. I don't see us trading up for Shadur Sanders. I don't see us trading up in the first round for Jackson Dart. So I think we're going to sit back, save our picks, and see how it all goes. So Justin Fields has kind of given us a cushion around that quarterback problem. I think another place where we've kind of solved, I wouldn't say it's completely solved, but having Jamie and Sherwood come back really helps with our linebacker issue. So very excited that we're not dealing with trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be our next linebacker now that Jamie and Sherwood went somewhere else. We got him back. So it's him and Quincy Williams are going to hold down the fort. But we need some young guys to back them up just in case they go down. Who's going to be the next man up? We've been relying on Chaz Surratt for a little while. Sam Iguavin has been on the team for a while. He's like 31 at this point. So it's like we got to start backfilling those positions a little bit, especially if Quincy Williams is going to leave after this year. So I think linebacker is kind of in a more stable place than it was before free agency started. So thank you for coming back, Jamie and Sherwood. I look at corner. I don't think we're going to be drafting a corner very high. I think Brandon Stevens is probably going to be that cornerback. Even though I didn't love that signing, it makes me think, okay, we're kind of locked down with Sauce. You got Michael Carter in the slot as long as he stays healthy this year. You've got Quantez Stiggers. You got Jarek Bernard Converse. And then, of course, Brandon Stevens now on the outside. So I feel like corner is kind of locked down. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Glenn takes one later in the draft, but like I would not be prioritizing that if I was Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn at this point. So those feel like some of the places where we've solved some problems. Now there are some places where we've actually created bigger holes. So when I think about all the needs that the New York Jets have right now, I'm kind of thinking in my head of like ranking and prioritizing them. I think number one has to be wide receiver. Now, as of today, we still have Allen Lazard on the team. So technically our wide receiver room is Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Xavier Gibson, Malachi Corley, and then we just signed Tyler Johnson. Now for me, I don't understand why you would kind of like get rid of the Aaron Rodgers experiment, but then keep Allen Lazard. It just doesn't make sense. It feels like you should wipe the whole slate clean. And maybe Allen Lazard is just waiting for Aaron Rodgers to go somewhere, then we'll cut him and he can go follow Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes. But if that's the case, I don't want Allen Lazard on the team anymore. I'd rather watch, some trash wide receivers than watch Allen Lazard because he can't catch. And it's just left a bad taste in my mouth at this point. He's had the most drops in the league over the past 2 years. So in my mind, it's a massive hole right now at wide receiver. It's Garrett Wilson, then nobody. So who is Justin Fields going to throw to? And I think the scary piece is at 7, like sure you could take Ted McMillan, but is he worthy of 7? I don't know. There's some decent wide receivers late in the draft, which I'm actually kind of excited about, rounds 2 through 4. I mean, it's not the deepest, greatest wide receiver draft you're ever going to see. There have been plenty of better ones in recent years, but I do think we can get some folks that can fill the room a little bit. But it's a massive, massive haul. If we might have to draft 2 wide receivers at this point, and then also sign one of these veterans that's out on the market right now. If you look around, you've got people like Stefan Diggs is still out there, Keenan Allen's still out there, Tyler Lockett's still out there. These are those old wily veterans that probably don't want to go to off-season workouts, which start in like 2 weeks, which is crazy that off-season workouts are starting already. And usually you'll see some movement right around the draft, whether it's people post-draft getting signed, maybe like teams couldn't meet their needs, so therefore they have to go to the veterans and that are out in the open market, or closer to the training camp. So those are some options out there. Like we can sign a veteran and then draft 2 wide receivers. I think that's probably the best move because right now, Tyler Johnson has not been, the pro that I thought he was going to be. Like I said, he played for the Rams, he played for the Bucks, but he really hasn't done a ton. Malachi Corley couldn't even get on the field last year, and the one time he did, he dropped the ball before he got into the end zone. So can you trust him? It's from the old regime. Like I don't know if this regime even wants him because he's more of like a gadget type wide receiver. He's like a yak guy. You got to get the ball in his hands and create plays for him. So hopefully Tanner Engstrand wants to do that as our new offensive coordinator, like he did with like a Jameson Williams. But he's nowhere near the talent of a Jameson Williams. And then you look at Xavier Gipson. We've seen that guy is just not an NFL receiver. He's been fine as a returner. I would say okay as a returner. But like, I don't think he's someone that you can rely on as your number 2 or number 3 wide receiver at this point. So wide receiver, huge, huge need for the Jets going into this draft. And that goes into my second. Yeah, I would say this is my second need, is tight end. Because right now, if you look at our pass catchers in general, we probably have the worst assembled group of pass catchers in the league. Maybe like we can compete with like the Patriots there. Like, that's not the battle I want to be in, is fighting for the bottom with the Patriots who, they have better tight ends than us. So they're actually probably beating us. Because right now our tight end room is Jeremy Ruckert, who's been a disappointment. Then we have Stone Smart, who I like, but he hasn't done anything really in the NFL so far. He's got like 15 catches total. And then Zach Kuntz, who has never been able to get on the field. He hasn't been able to get off the practice squad at this point. So in my mind, it's who the heck is Justin Fields throwing to? What are they just going to triple cover Garrett Wilson and then everyone else? They're just like, yeah, you're not catching the ball anyways. Who cares? So tight end is a massive, massive need. I was shocked that Tyler Conklin only got a $3 million deal with the Chargers. Like that, we should have been all over that. That's an easy number 2 tight end for us. Then we can draft one or something like that. So I was really surprised that we just let him walk for $3 million. That's nothing. So that means the draft once again comes around because there's really no one out there right now that we can sign that's going to replace a Tyler Conklin, for example. So you look at number 7 is Tyler Warren from Penn State, the guy. Are you willing to take a tight end at pick 7? I would say yes. Like I would not be upset if we picked Tyler Warren because he's also a really great blocker. So you get the blocking of Tyler Warren and you get the receiving, which we're going to need because that'll be my third need is along the offensive line as well. So that's going to be interesting. There's plenty of other tight ends. It's a really deep tight end draft class. So this is another one where it's either you take Tyler Warren in the first round or maybe you take 2 later in the draft. There's a lot of good ones out there. We probably need 1 or 2. And this is the problem is we don't have enough picks to fill all the needs that we have right now, which is a massive deal. So you got to hope that a Jeremy Ruckert turns the corner. Stone Smart gets better. Maybe with more playing time, he'll get better. But it's grim in the pass catching area of the New York Jets right now. And that's what happens when you get rid of guys like Devontae Adams and things like that. It's a barren wasteland right now. And you've missed on picks all those years. Joe Douglas with like Denzel Mims, like never amounted to anything. Elijah Moore is now a free agent because the Browns don't want him back, so he's out there. So it's like, yeah, we can never convert these draft picks into actual starters, which is crazy. So thank God for Garrett Wilson. That's all we can say. Please re-sign him at some point. So tight end is my number 2 need. We go to number 3. This should be higher, but I feel better about the rest of the offensive line, which is why it's not number one. But right tackle is now a massive hole, and we put ourselves in this hole. Because in free agency, we couldn't sign Morgan Moses, and we didn't sign a decent veteran to replace him. We signed that guy from the Patriots. I'm going to call him Chuck because I can't say his name. Corafor, I think is his last name. Um, he's the guy who ran out on the Patriots after 12 snaps because he got benched and then never showed up again. So are we going to count on that guy to be our right tackle? Maybe. Maybe that's the plan. But in my mind, that's not going to be sustainable because then you're going to have, let's say he gets hurt or I don't know, someone else along the offensive line gets hurt. Then you got Max Mitchell and Carter Warren playing, and we know what that looks like. It's not great. So right tackle's a scary scene right now. Now there's a couple players that we can draft either in the first or second round that I would feel pretty good about. Armand Membu is flying up the draft boards right now. So at number 7, he would probably be a pretty solid pick. He's from Missouri as a right tackle. So I would be happy with that. If we can just fortify this offensive line and never have to worry about it again, that would be amazing because we've been playing Tetris with this offensive line for probably like 10 years at this point. So if we can shore it up, that would be awesome. There's a couple good players in the second and third round as well. And I think I'll do a mock draft as my next podcast later next week just to see who's around and who's available and kind of talk through what the draft could look like. But right tackle, huge need, especially if we're going to be running the ball a lot with Justin Fields, with Breece Hall, with Braylon Allen, with Isaiah Davis. And our tight ends are not great blockers right now. Stone Smart is not a blocker. So it's not like we have additional help. It's maybe Jeremy Ruckert, and that's it. Unless maybe you put Josh Myers as a swing. I don't know. Probably Carter Warren or Max Mitchell. I'm not sure. So that's a rough one. Before I get into my next needs for the team, I'm going to take a little time out here, a little gym break. Don't have a lot to talk about with the Knicks because NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness has been taking over. Honestly, it's been a pretty boring tournament. I'm not going to lie. I thought there have been a couple good games with better seeds, but there was no Cinderellas on day 1 and 2. So really no buzzer beaters, nothing that thrilling up to this point. So hopefully it gets a little bit better as the tournament goes on, but nothing great there. The next thing I want to talk about is the New York Islanders. This team will not die. It's unbelievable. All of a sudden they're tearing off all these wins, comebacks. They blew it last night against Calgary where they were up with 2 minutes. They scored with 2 minutes to go to take the lead. Then they gave a goal right back and then lost in overtime. But they got a point. And now they're 2 points out of the wild card. Rangers are 1 point out. We're 2 points out. I don't know how we're still in it, but we are. So it's weird. I'm trying to root for them, but I also know they're not really going to go anywhere if they make it to the playoffs. But I love seeing my teams in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with the Islanders. But it's been very weird because it's some games you're like, okay, this team's done. It's over. And then you turn it on in the third period and they're down 3. They score 3 goals. They win. It's it's crazy what's been going on. So props to the Islanders for staying alive, I guess. So we'll see how this next week goes and how the season wraps up because there's only a couple weeks left. So that is our gym break. We'll go right back to it. My next need is we tried to fill it in free agency, but it's D-tackle. Quinnen Williams needs a running mate. And right now we signed 3 folks in free agency. We've got Leonard Taylor still. But it seems like just a rotation of Jags, just a guy. It's just these random dudes who have been journeymen, and we're going to trial it out in training camp and in the preseason, see who wins the job. I'm sure we'll keep 2 or 3 of them, probably cut 1, but we need to draft D-tackles. Now for me, my number 1 player in the entire draft is Abdul Carter. We're not going to get him. He's going to be drafted in the first 4 picks. I love Travis Hunter. He's not making it to us, so it doesn't matter. We're not even going to talk about it. But the guy that I think is realistic that could fall to us, I don't know if he's going to, but he could fall to us, is Mason Graham, D-tackle from Michigan. I would love him next to Quinnen Williams. He would be a great pick, but this is a very deep D-tackle draft. This is another position where I feel like we got to take 2. Whether it's Mason Graham in round 1 and we take another one in round 3, 4, 5, whatever, or we take a right tackle or a wide receiver or a tight end in round 1 And then there's all these D tackles in round 2, 3, and 4 that we can start to stockpile, like Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. He's another really great one. Very excited about him. He's more probably round 2. So we really badly need someone to run with Quinnen Williams because the poor guy's just alone out there right now. So D tackle, that's my 4th need. And as you can see, these were all needs that we had going into free agency, and we didn't solve any of them. So it's really frustrating. Edge is number 5 for me. The only reason I have edge still is I love Will McDonald. He played great last year. Not a run stopper at all. So we need a bigger edge out there. And then Jermaine Johnson's coming off a really serious injury. Achilles is not easy to come back from when you need all that power coming from your legs as an edge rusher, especially if you're like trying to like set the edge or things like that. So I don't see us drafting an edge player in the first 2-3 rounds. I'd be surprised. But if there's another veteran out there we can pull in as we get past the draft, things like that, is there a fancy trade we can work out for any of these needs? That would be awesome. So we'll see how it goes, but we really need someone to run with a guy like Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald because they're going to need to rotate. They're not going to be able to play every single play. You can't have Will McDonald out there first and second down trying to stop the run. He's too skinny. He's too small. So edge is another need for me. And then finally, I'll just do my last one. Ah, man, there's 2 more. So let's do need number 6. I still think safety is a need. Like, I really, like, Andre Sisco is my favorite signing of all of free agency. I think he's a ball hawk. I think he's going to change the way we turn the ball over because we haven't done it a lot in the past couple of years. I think we only had 5 turnovers total last year, which is insane. So I really like him, but he's a risk. He didn't have a great year last year. And then who is our other safety? It's Tony Adams. Is Isaiah Oliver going to start at safety? I would love to draft one. It's another great class for safeties, and we don't normally have great safety classes. But once again, we're just piling up the needs, and we can't draft everybody. We don't have enough picks for that. So it's another one that I'm looking out for is safety. And then finally, my last need is kicker. We still have Greg Zuerlein on the roster. No idea if we're going to keep him on the roster. He's pretty expensive. Maybe it's just like a whatever. We got to pay him anyway, so let's just keep him on the team. And hopefully he doesn't lose his games like he did last year. And he bounces back. Be less pressure this year, that's for sure. And kind of go from there. I don't see us drafting a kicker. I don't want to draft a kicker. I just want to find one that can kick, and it works. So no idea how to make that work, but we'll see. We got a new special teams coordinator, so we'll see how they do. So that is it. Those are my needs for the New York Jets heading into the draft. I think next week we'll do a mock draft, and if I can share my screen, we can see who gets picked before the Jets and see what I would do in certain situations. Maybe we'll do like the first 3 rounds or something like that and have a little fun with it. But yeah, that's it for the Juicy Jet podcast today. What I want to do is answer this trivia question before we wrap up here. So the question was, who scored the most touchdowns in Jets history as a Jet? And the answer, oh man, from a long time ago, he had 88 touchdowns. Wide receiver, Hall of Famer, Don Maynard. 88 total touchdowns. So that is our trivia question. And that's the Juicy Jet podcast. If you could, please like, subscribe, rate, review, whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you might be listening. That would greatly help me. If you could follow me on TikTok at JuicyJet25. You can follow me on Twitter at KevinRooney25. That would be very helpful. I still have some Juicy Jet hats if anyone wants one. But overall, I really appreciate everybody listening. Tried to keep this one a little bit shorter just so it's a little more digestible for everyone, and you can watch it as the week gets started. And yeah, hopefully we get some more Jets news as the week goes on. They're going to be interviewing more players, going to pro days. The draft is in full swing. So if anything happens, I'll jump back on. If we sign anybody, any veterans, I don't see anything big happening, but just in case. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good week. Let's go New York Islanders, and I will talk to y'all next week. See ya.